So, hello and a very warm welcome to Guts, Glory and Story, Season 3. We kickstarted Season 3 with Sam Pitroda last week. Uh, Sam Pitroda also was a Gandhian, and I think he followed Mahatma Gandhi. And that was the first common point of connect between our guests today, Mayank Gandhi and Sam. Uh, the other common point, which I was just referring to a minute back, was that both Mayank and Sam are big canvas painters. They love to paint on a big canvas. And I think just a minute ago, Mayank ji ne bola ki chindi kaam mat karo, kuch karna hai to bade canvas pe khelo. And that one statement has stayed with me quite a lot, and I think is majorly going to influence how even I will be conducting my life. But yes, I think Mayank was involved in the political scene in India. He was one of the earlier founding members of AAP, also the architects of the RTI movement. But later, like most genuine people, got disillusioned with politics and took his big canvas thinking to the social scene and started working with farmers at a grassroots level with the vision of improving the income levels of farmers, because that's the only way in which poverty can be actually reduced, if not eradicated. But more of that later, because I think that's a task that my partner Alok is going to do. And for the sheer sake of introducing ourselves for any new members that might be attending the show, I'm Sangram Surve. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a serial entrepreneur. And with me is my friend and co-host Alok Sinha. Alok Sinha is also a serial entrepreneur, a serial CEO. He's an investor and an author. And all these guests are friends and common contacts of ours. We'll kickstart with a few questions for Mayank, which will trace his life journey so far, which will also tell you why he qualifies as an illustrious figure on Guts, Glory and Story. And post that, I think we'll leave open the stage to your audience to ask questions. But for the formal introduction of Mayank, I hand it over to my friend Alok. Alok, stage is all yours.
Thank you, Sangram. Mayank ji, welcome to Guts, Glory and Story. Thank you for being with us. Mayank ji, you have been a very gritty person, but you always find humor in life. You know, I was talking to Sangram. You're a man of multiple facets, right? You've been a social activist. You've been a crusader during the emergency, India against corruption, Right to Information Act, and most lately the Parley transformation. And you've helped the farmers grow their yield to 10 to 20x. I was very careful when I was sending out the note, but the truth is, some places more than 20x. Right, the government of India, I know, has been talking about doubling the income of farmers or quadrupling the income of the farmer, and I've been careful. But you did 10 to 20x. Not only that, you made villages water sufficient where there was no water. So here's my first question to you, Manji. You came from a very, very humble background. I remember you said you slept on the dining table. But I loved the comment which Sangram spoke about. You always like to paint on a bigger canvas. So tell us more about your childhood and how this operative inner guidance of painting in the large canvas shaped your choices and what you're today. In short, childhood difficulties has had no impact on your dreams and what you've achieved. Mayank ji.
Actually, that's not very true. When I was young, and my mother had to make papad, then I used to go door to door to sell it. So it was that kind of, I'm not romanticizing poverty. People do that. I know that poverty is the biggest disease that is there. But the loss of dignity was the biggest problem. People would bang their door on my face, and I used to think, yeah, what do I do in life so that no other Mayank Gandhi has to go through this indignity? So that was there. But, you know, I think this life is just a game. After they say 84 lakh lives we get human birth, and I did not want to waste it on just mundane things like having a family and going on holidays. I mean, that wasn't going to be my priority. I have a family and I do go on holidays, but there has to be more to life than just doing these kind of things. And which is why there was this drive that let's do something which is interesting, dramatic, and which helps people or create an impact rather than just go through life, go through the paces. So, and I always felt I can only do that if I work on scale. I paint, like I told you last time, on a bigger canvas rather than a small one. And well, you do miss out on some details, but you gain in the largeness and the scale and the speed that one takes up.
Correct. So, Mahenkji, you began your public life fighting for human rights. And I think you were also involved with politics. You were very much involved with the RTI movement with Anna Hazare. You were one of the founding members of AAP. Okay. Tell us about that journey. How did the whole political career happen? How did you get introduced to Anna Hazare ji? Your AAP experience.
I was fighting against the emergency because I believed that this was not a very good thing to happen, and to take away the human rights of people and to subvert democracy was something that I felt very strongly about. And I was just a youth. I was a 16, 17-year-old youth. And I started doing street plays against that, but I was never politically inclined. I was never feeling that I should be in electoral politics or in this party. I always felt about the nation, and that the nation democracy was getting subverted. So that's how I began. And then I really fought against the emergency, and in 2077 elections were declared, and I tried to help defeat Indira Gandhi, who was subverting it. There's no political choice here. It was just that democracy was being subverted and somebody needed to fight that. But having worked there, I realized that politicians are the same anywhere across parties. Yeah. And I just quit politics at that point of time, feeling very betrayed at the way Janata Party had betrayed the choice of the voice of the people. I will not go too much because it's old history, but I felt betrayed. I felt that this country has been betrayed by power. And I felt that again some years back. So I felt that people who come in power then start thinking differently for their own power rather than what one starts with. And I quit politics, got back to my life, and had children, had family, started earning money, had a business. But within there was always a fire. And I was broken. I was fractured from within, as most of us are. I used to think differently. I used to say differently. I used to behave differently. So my life was very fractured. I used to think about the country all the time, but I used to work for myself. And in the business, one had to do some corruption. So it was a very fractured and life and at some stage I decided, let me get aligned. Let all the things get aligned. What I think, what I feel, what I say, and what I do, let that get aligned. So I quit life. I quit my work. I quit my business and took this really daring step of aligning myself. And it was so therapeutic that from within that fracture went away. And I became full of life. I became happier. I became complete. And I believe that was a decision which changed my life and transformed it.
And at that point in time, was it then that you got introduced to AAP or Anna Hazare? Was that the
No.
Much later.
Okay.
So just one additional piece. I mean, I remember you talked about movements and how do you start a movement. And movement means, it could even be getting arrested or police getting after you. Now, did you face all those things in your life? I mean, I know you've been romanticizing some parts of it.
No. What happened was I was an international urban planner, one of the top urban planners in the world. And I used to be on the advisory board of the world's largest body of planners. And very funnily, one day I was speaking in Madrid in a conference, and the architect of Burj Khalifa came and told me, your concepts are so brilliant. Where did you do your master's, or where did you do your PhD? And I told her that 6 months back, I did not know whether urban planning started with U or with E. So I was neither an architect nor an urban planner, but just through exploring a subject by going deep into it, by using common sense, I think we can do a lot. But I looked at the lives of the people there and I felt, when can our Indians have a life of dignity? Dignity is a very important word in my life. because the poor people are treated like dirt in this country. How do poor people get a life of dignity? And I came back and I started working with Anna Hazare. And I felt if the people get empowered, then things will start changing. And we drafted the Right to Information Bill and many other bills. Having done that, in 2011, I remember there was a conference, and in that conference, I was the chairperson and Arvind Kejriwal was the speaker there. So he came to me and said, Mayank, I want myself, Prashant Bhushan, Shanti Bhushan, and Santosh Hegde have drafted a law, and we want to take it to the public, and can you please take the leadership of Western India? So I told him, I am too deep into trying for self-realization. I meditate 7 hours a day. I am not interested in public life anymore. But Kejriwal, being Kejriwal, announced to the crowd that Mayank has decided to participate. So I thought maybe there is some signal from up there. And then I told him, looking at your face, people are not going to get attracted to this public movement. He said, what do I do? I said, get Anna Hazare to lead the movement. And that's how Anna came into the picture. I designed that cap, Maihu Anna. So it was fun. I had a great time there. I was leading the movement. At one stage, I remember Kejriwal, Anna, Kumar Vishwas, Kiran Bedi, all of them in Delhi had a rally of 1.5 lakh people. And in Mumbai, me with my youngsters had 2.5 lakh people coming from Bandra to Juhu, if you remember.
I do remember.
And we danced on the road, we sang on the road. I remember we slept on the road. I was arrested 5 times. And as soon as I would get arrested, I would call up my wife and say, she's saying, don't go, I'm coming. So my wife, my children, we would all go to jail together. So well, there is one Ayub Khan who says, I was with you, sir. Hi, Ayub. So we all went to jail together. And in my youth, whatever fun I missed, I had it at this point of time. I used to seriously believe that if I had been born during the time of Gandhi, I would have fought shoulder to shoulder with him. But God has given me another opportunity and I fought for my nation and I continue to fight for it. So I have had a great time. How many times I must have danced on the road. One day I remember near VT, CST, I was on the stage at Azad Maidan and the senior police officer came and told me, sir, aapke sab aadmi road ke upar so rahe hain. So they had come from all place and very excited they went to sleep on the road. So I ran there and everyone was sleeping on the road. I said, get up, but people were not in that mood. So I saw there was a bike there. I stood up on the bike and started singing Jana Gana Mana. So everyone stood up on attention. Some real fun I've had. So that was India Against Corruption. And we achieved a lot in that. We got the conscience of people awakened for the first time since independence. And then that movement morphed into a political party. And I was, of course, part of the national executive and I was handling Western India. And unlike Delhi, what we had done in Mumbai was we had taken youth and given them the platform rather than stand there. We broke the hierarchical system. We made a flat structure in which everyone was a leader. So the kind of modeling that we did for that movement was very interesting. Sometimes you should read my book. And in that book, I've written how we change the dynamics and dimensions of public movements. And then when it became a political party, I said, my God, now those hierarchies will begin and committees will be formed. And people who used to think this is my movement will start feeling that this party is of that committee, and people will be fighting to get into committees. So I told Arvind Kejriwal, I said, I'm very afraid we are going in a direction which is not right. But well, we did form a party and a party needs a structure. And I started seeing things were going into a direction. We had started this not as a political party. We are never interested in politics. I was not at all. We wanted to change the nation. First, we tried through a movement. When we realized the movement is not able to, when the government stopped listening to us, we thought we were forced to create a political party. So I am not a politician. Many of the people in AAP today are not politicians. Though I think those people have gone long back. Now they have been taken over by politics. And in 2005, 2015, I remember Narendra Modi was winning elections after elections. He won the 2014 national election, and then he was winning state after state. And I called a press conference. And I challenged Narendra Modi. I said, तुम्हारा अश्वमेघ का घोड़ा जो जा रहा है एक एक स्टेट में, मैं दिल्ली में उसको रोकूंगा. And Kejriwal had around 3,500 volunteers who were Delhi based. So they were looking after their family, their jobs. We went with 16,000 volunteers from all over the country. And for 2.5 months, the kind of campaign that we did, and we won unprecedented 67 seats. But post that, I started seeing the whole transformation happening. So no longer was it an issue of principles, no longer was it about country, it was about power. And Osho used to say that in life there is richness and there is poverty. It all depends what you want to choose. So I said, being in politics is extreme poverty. Every morning you have to fight within yourself. Every day struggle. Usne aisa kiya, usne aisa kiya. 95% of the time you are fighting amongst yourself. So I said, I don't want to lead a life like that. So there were 3 lessons I learned, and I quit politics. And then Narendra Modi sent somebody for me to join their party. Rahul Gandhi called me, but I said, कोई गलती हो गया तो माफ कर दो, लेकिन politics में I will not come back. But there were 3 things, Alok, that I learned.
Experiences, man.
Sorry?
Yeah. No, go on. Please complete.
So I'm saying there were 3 things that I learned. One is, what you see of people from far is very different from the people that you see from close. You see, I'm not saying they are bad. It's just that what they project, what they brand. Sangram may know because he's a branding man. What they brand is very different from reality. And I work closely with Abdul Kalam, with C.C. Ravi Shankar, with Ramdev Baba, with Anna, with Yogendra Yadav, Prashant, Arvind, you name it, I worked as an equal with all. And I started realizing what they say, what they are, is very different from what they project. The second lesson I learned was कि जो बोलता है ना कि मैं देश के लिए करता हूँ, मैं लोगों के लिए करता हूँ, मैं भगवान के लिए करता हूँ, वो अपनी अंदर की इच्छा के लिए करता है. उसके अंदर वो सबकॉन्शियस में फुदक रहा है कि मेरे को पावर आ जाए, मेरे को ये आ जाए. So most of the time what they say, so मैं भी बहुत डरता हूँ to say कि मैं देश के लिए काम करता हूँ, मैं लोगों के लिए काम करता हूँ. I'm very afraid of saying it, but I do say it for the sake of branding. And third, most importantly, and this will ricochet with you, that when you work in a group dynamics, तो एक ग्रुप के अंदर एक आध लीचड़ आदमी होता है.
There's always one in the family.
हाँ, वो होता ही है, वो खींचता ही है, जिसके बारे में कुछ भी बोलता है. And if you want to maintain the group dynamics, no, you'll have to humor him. You have to take care of him. नहीं तो he will break the complete chain. So instead of going up, you start going down. So I said, in life, whatever I'll do, I will not follow anyone anymore. Whatever I can do, I will do on my own and not make a big group in which I have to look after all the followers. So this is very interesting learning, political learning, I must say that. And I don't regret whatever has happened. I enjoyed the entire journey as I am enjoying myself in this global Purli thing. So I always have a lot of fun and I laugh because I don't take life seriously. Life is just a game and I'm playing it and I'm having a lot of fun.
So I think you experienced that twice. I think once with Janata Party, where again you made this comment saying, things with political parties is very different and the real intent is lost. You experience that again with AAP. Is there no way out in terms of your experience? Is then nation building as a cause by sincere, honest people necessarily, as per your experience, have to be outside the government? Is there something that seriously goes wrong when people come into power?
No. In this case, there were individual shortcomings. The Arvind Kejriwal that started work, if he had not got greedy and wanting to come on center stage and be a competitor to Narendra Modi in 2019, if he had just stuck to Delhi administration, maybe by this time we would have been the most powerful opposition in this country. But that greed, okay, Modi has got 31% of the votes, 69% is anti-Modi. Let me take over that 69, then I will become the prime minister. But I have to win a few states, and to win Punjab or something, I have to do communal politics, I have to do caste politics, I have to do corruption politics. So that compromise, once he decided to make, the downfall began. So it is not necessary. If he had not made that compromise, this country would have been a fantastic opposition we would have had in this country. So the limitation or the weakness of one man affected this country very badly, which does not mean that it cannot be done. It can be done. If he had not done it, just that decision of his to get into becoming the prime minister for 2019 made the complete mess of this nation. He could have stayed and worked beautifully in Delhi. Education, healthcare, and all policies, all the states would be following Aam Aadmi Party as of now. But that necessity to quickly become something, that decision really made it worse. But having said it, I must say that politics is a very tough game. Meaning, I'm not saying by the nature of politics is such, for one post there are 20 people fighting, and you are all fighting within themselves rather than fighting the opposition. And it happens across the world, across all parties. That's the nature. So if you are a guy who loves to fight every morning, then you are needed in politics. I was not somebody who liked to fight. I was in a position, nobody fought for my position, but all the people below me were fighting. Usne mere ko message nahi diya, usne mere ko ye nahi diya. Main bola, yaar, I can't go through life like this, yaar. So I think there has to be much more to life. After 84 lakh lives, yaar, I can't be doing this. So I quit politics. But that really, for a democracy, you need politics, you need parties. The better the political culture, the better. But today, electoral politics in India has become such that money plays a very big part. And, no candidate spends anything less than 10 to 15 crores. Out of which 70 lakhs is the official cost. Rest all is black. So where does that money come from? It comes from builders, it comes from all kind of things. Then vote banks are there. So you have to do a communal politics, caste politics, criminal politics, corruption politics. So the system is such that sometimes I believe the politicians are victims of this vicious cycle rather than just the perpetrators. This entire system has become such. For the first time, we were able to show that there is a viability of honest people coming into politics and winning elections. And that is the most important part of whatever we did, that it is possible to win in spite of not doing corruption or caste or communal. But that is now gone, is no longer, it's history now. I doubt if it can be recovered. And the biggest disservice we have done is nobody believes that there is anyone honest who is wanting to change the country. You're all saying, yehi sab waisa hi karenge thode din ke baad. So two failures, the Janata Party failure and the Aam Aadmi Party failure, has set back the youth of this country by over 5 decades.
लेकिन मयंक जी समथिंग की कोई चीज तो आपको झंझोड़ दिया ना इसके आउटकम. So you did Parli. I think Parli is phenomenal, and I don't think it is so well publicized either. And I like you to talk more about it. Usually one would think that there are few areas that you can impact, double the income of a farmer. But you went full hog, right? Clean energy, crores of liters of water where there was none, farm ponds. Even the students, no farmer wants to, no kids want to continue farm as their profession, even they. So you change the ecosystem of the village. There are very few who do that, you're not solving. And so not only that, change the cropping pattern, brought in fruit, you moved from traditional to modern farming. So what was the root of the problem? And now I get the story why you wanted to do something different. I think I get the story, but I would like to hear from you.
As a matter
you did something that Kurian did to Amul. You are actually doing that to farms, and you've not restricted yourself just to Marathwada region, right? You've gone to MP, you're going to other places, so you're replicating that with a lot of success.
And I think what I would want you to cover, Mayank, is what you told us on phone, and which was, I think, very impressive. I think you said that India is very insignificant on the global stage because the entire nation is poor. And the only way to correct this balance is by enriching the country at the grassroots. And that was the inspiration that led you to this moment. I'd like you to start that story with that filter and then tell us about the Parley moment.
You might not like to hear what I'm going to say. I speak without filters. So, so I was very keen that this country prosper. And I saw that a few centuries back, we had 33% of the economy, 30% of the trade. Today, we have 2.6% of the economy, global economy, 0.8% of the global trade. So if India sinks today, I don't think the rest of the world would be too worried. But that needs to change. I don't have an organization, I don't have anyone, but I just have this madness within me that how do I change this country? And Gandhi used to say, the soul of India lives in its villages. So वो कीड़ा तो था कि मुझे देश को बदलना है, in spite of leaving politics. And I decided, like I told you, I will not follow anyone. I will go on my own path without a big group whom I have to manage. So I said, let's go to villages and start understanding them. I was a management consultant. A management consultant typically thinks he knows everything. So I went to the village and I realized that I know very little or nothing. So first I took 2 years to unlearn. And I selected Marathwada, which had the highest farmer suicide, which had the highest drought. In that, I selected a place called, a district called Beed. So Beed was the Bihar of Maharashtra. And in that, there was a taluka or tehsil called Parli. So while the national average for irrigated area was 40%, Parli was 1.72%. It had the highest number of suicides and it had the highest crime rate. So I said, Arey, this is the best place to work. So I actually selected where, once I heard that it's a lot of crime, guns, swords, I said, then I must go and improve this place. So because I wanted to create a proof of concept. And then I went there and started working with the farmers. Remember, at that point of time, I had never seen a village in my life except in Lagan movie.
Wow.
I did not know Marathi. And I started working in the villages. So there was a severe drought. There was nothing. So through water tankers, I supplied a lot of water. And then I saw the villages and I said, I must do seva all my life. I sold my flat. And luckily, my family was very supportive. And I started working in Marathwada in this area. And slowly people started joining me and a team was created, but not that sort in which there is one guy who's screwing around. But basically people who wanted to do work. Like today I hear Sangram saying, I'm going to help you brand this. I heard Alok saying, I'm going to put the systems in place. So people like this joined. And our only thing was, how do we increase the income of farmers? So शुरुआत में तो I realized that villages are like 360-degree, like organ failures, multiple organ failures. You work on the heart, liver will pull it away. You work on liver, the lungs will pull it away. So if you want to change village, you have to work on all parts, 360 degrees. So I chose to work on all parts: education, healthcare, skill development, capacity building, livelihood, Gram Swaraj, where we would empower people. And this area was very poor. 3,500 rupees per month was the income, annual income, monthly income. People had never tasted milk and they were all in depression. They were living because they were not dead. So I felt that if I am able to transform this area, I can transform the whole country. So I started working with them and we did some outstanding work. But it was never a movement. It was only a mission or a campaign. And I felt that there was a need for a constructive development movement. Typically, all the movements that have happened are destructive movements, confrontational movements. Like you go to break a building without having a plan for what you want to make in that. That is the real problem of this country. I said, I will make a movement which is constructive. So I will give you a small story. It's a very interesting story because it sparked the movement. There was a small village called Revli, and I was speaking. Typically, the public gather in a temple premise. And while I was speaking, somebody was speaking over me. And I got irritated and I said, at least you should not drink and come into the temple premise. After the meeting, I felt I should not have said it. He must be somebody's relative or something. But the Sarpanch took it very seriously. In the evening, he went to the liquor shop, illicit hooch shop, and said 7 people have died. People are sleeping on the road at night. Ladies have started drinking. 10-year-olds have started. Why don't you stop selling liquor? Now, what happened to that guy? I don't know. Sandhya Kal ka time tha. And he said, I have got 7 days of stock. Let me sell it and I will stop selling liquor. So the Sarpanch called me next morning. I went and caught his feet and said, God has come within you. And at that time, I used to come on television. He thought I was a big celebrity. Little knowing that anyone who has full time in his hands will come on television. So, so I pretended I was a big man. And I told him, God has come within you. What will you do? How will you look after your family? I will give you 3 pregnant goats. You look after your family. So 7 days later, he stopped selling liquor. I gave him 3 pregnant goats. And then that became a fantastic model. I went village to village, getting the cops to raid the shop. The men folk would run away. I would catch his wife's feet and say, Mataji, till I am there, the raids will continue. How long can you lead a life like this? I will give you 3 goats, you stop selling liquor. In 15 days, all liquor stores were closed. And the woman would go with mashal saying that Daru Bandi Jalich Paije, meaning you must stop selling liquor. And they sat outside liquor shop with the Manjira and started doing Ramdhun. And then the woman started joining my movement. You know, you cannot have a movement without woman and music.
Perfect.
And the woman came forward and said, my brother has come from Mumbai and he is going to save us. We are going to be with him all our lives. And what a movement it became. Today, if I go to Parli, thousands follow me and always led by women. So I think that was a turning point and we converted that into a movement. So I worked for 2 years on 360 degrees development, learning all kind of things. And then I realized movement is ready. Now let's stop doing all this nonsense. Because if I was to do education, healthcare, capacity building, this, that, then maybe in this lifetime, I would be able to do 25, 30, 50, maybe 100 villages. And India has 640,000 villages. So I thought, let's change track and stop doing everything else and just work on increasing their income. Wow. I honestly feel, Alok, this is something you may not agree. I believe that education and healthcare is overrated. If you are able to increase the income multiple fold, then everything else the farmers can look after, villagers can look after. So in 2018, we started a movement. For 45 days, morning 5 o'clock, me and my team would go, get all the villagers outside their house, lock their doors and take them to the fields with all that powder, thoda, and work till 8:39 in the morning because it got scorching 45, 48 degrees. And then evening after 6 to 1 o'clock in the night, we used to have these big speakers, have dinner there and put on the music and dance. And everyone would dig and dig and dig. And in 45 days, we created 70 kilometers of river, 162 farm ponds, 62 dams. But more than that water, it changed the complete mindset of the people. From a depression, they started feeling that they can do something in life. And so they had soulless eyes when I went. Today you come to Parli and see, their eyes are shining with the future. That what can they not do? That to my mind is the biggest victory that we achieved. So once we got 222 crore liters of water storage, then I changed track. In 2019, I said, listen, we've got water now. You are planting cotton and soya where you earn 10 to 15,000 rupees a year per acre. Change the cropping pattern. start growing fruit and vegetable plantation. So we offered them 8 to 10 varieties. So first year in 2019, people listened to us. By this time, we have broken the credibility aspect and they were believing in me. And we planted 12 lakh trees. And second year, we planted 20 lakh. This year, we have crossed 62 lakhs. So soon we will cross 1 crore trees that we planted.
Wow.
And these trees which used to get this area where they used to earn 10 to 15,000 rupees an acre started earning over 2.5 lakh rupees an acre. So this is 20 times, 15 times. So planting fruit trees is not a rocket science. I was not the first man on earth to propose that let's plant. But when I was working on that, I saw there were 3 gaps. First gap was that for plantation of fruit trees, the kind of material, the fruit plantation that you need, saplings that you need has to be of top drawer quality. So we traveled all over the country, understanding the soil, water, weather, and economics, selected the plants, and we purchased huge number of plants and gave it to the farmers at subsidized prices. So one thing was changing cropping pattern and giving them the best plantation. Number 2, we married the traditional farming methods with modern methods. So drip irrigation, every 15 days we would have a training session. Even now there are websites where our training is there. We give them booklets, we train them, we have WhatsApp, we have 24/7 helpline. So farmers don't feel that we have left them. Farmers know a lot, but we have experts who know a little more than that. So we keep on helping them. So improved quality of farming. Like our farmers are probably more knowledgeable. I like to say in real estate, they say the 3 words that are important in real estate is location, location, location.
Mm-hmm.
I keep on saying that in farming, the 3 words are training, training, and training. So our people are far more better trained than anyone else in this country. But the third one was the most important. Just give you an example. In 2019, we planted 1.46 lakh papaya trees. Papaya get harvested in 8 to 9 months. And this was less than 1% of Maharashtra papaya trees. But because they were in a cluster, people from Delhi, Gurgaon, Calcutta, Mysore, Madhya Pradesh, they all came there, purchased rooms in the hotels and negotiated with the farmers and purchased at very good prices at the farm gate. So the lesson that was, because we were working in scale, our farmers did not have to go to the market and get exploited. The market came to us. And the same thing happened for drumstick and the banana and now for guava and everything else. So the idea is, how do you work on scale so that the market comes to you? This was the important lesson that we learned here. So now just let's look at this. I mean, in cricket, there is one spot which is called sweet spot. If the ball hits that sweet spot, it misses the boundary. Yeah. I'll finish this quickly. I think we are running short of time.
No, don't worry. Take your time.
Okay. So I have found a sweet spot in my life. If the farmer multiplies his income, his family, his community, his village, everyone starts earning. Because we are doing in a cluster, industry will come in, small scale industries, packaging, processing, supply chain. India is the second largest plantation, fruit plantation, but our export is less than 1%. So we need to get our act together, get more foreign exchange. But what is most important to me is that mass plantation is the easiest, cheapest, and fastest method to fight the climate crisis. It increases oxygen, it reduces global warming, it attracts the monsoon, the leaves will, once it falls, gets biomass, the water is taken down to the aquifers. And as a spiritual person, I believe that if I plant one fruit tree, it feeds crores of microorganisms, bioorganisms, insects, birds, bees, animals, humans. So when you are planting one tree, you are actually planting lives. And if I plant 1 crore tree, it's something wonderful that God has given me to do. So I plant these trees, and when I did this proof of concept, People from all over the country came because typically Indian farmers earn between 10 to 40,000 rupees an acre. And we were saying minimum 1 lakh rupee. So from across the country, more than 40 places people have come. We have begun work in entire Marathwada. Marathwada, you must know, is 4 times the size of Israel. 8,000 villages.
Yeah.
And Madhya Pradesh, 6 districts, and now Palghar. So you started working in different parts, but we want to create models by which we can work across the nation. So first is proof of concept. Second is scaling up and replicating. And third, most important, is how do you institutionalize the whole thing?
Yeah. Okay.
I must give you one figure that India has fresh fruit plantation in 4.21% of arable land. China is 13.95. If India was to increase 4.21 to 11%, we would add 3.23 lakh crore rupees to the revenue, which is 2.2% of the GDP or 13.9% of the agri GDP. This is massive. So while you are working at the grassroots level, like I say, from the worm eye view. So if you go to the bird's eye view also, you can see that there's a lot one can do. So this is the work that I do and I love and I enjoy. And this is the real India. I had never, when I was an urban man, what I saw was a different India. When I go to the villages, this is the real India. These are real people, grounded, this thing. We all English speaking people really don't understand India. India is different. And I've been so fortunate. People go from village to city to international. I went the other way from international to city to village. And I've been so fortunate.
Yeah, your face shows that.
Very, very. Yeah. I think what's refreshing is you can actually see that joy on your face and, that clear transparency with which you're talking about an entire journey. I think that itself is testimony of your whole journey so far. So I think we have 10-15 minutes. We have 10 minutes more, to be precise. I have a few questions. But yes, if anyone in the audience has more questions, I think we had some which the audience had asked when they registered. I can actually pull some of those. Meanwhile, if any one of you have questions, you can put them in the chat window. I think one of the questions that audience had was, how can you get government, or is it even wise to expect the government to play a bigger role in rural development or in agricultural development? Or is this something that will be left to the people like you?
You want a short answer or a long answer?
Both. So tell us yes or no and then tell us why. मुझे मालूम है ना, आपने बोला कि मैं बेबाक आदमी हूँ. मैं
बेबाक हूँ. आपने सुन भी लिया ना. I give my views very freely. And
मुझे आपको बताना है कि हम रिकॉर्डिंग कर रहे हैं.
हाँ, कोई बात नहीं. आपको कोई फोन नंबर चाहिए कोई मिनिस्टर का तो मैं दे दूंगा. तो सबसे पहले तो मैंने देखा कि सरकार के साथ काम करना is very difficult. The cost benefit ratio is alarming. You have to do so much effort to get. Government has the money, the people, the resources, the schemes, everything, but they don't have the will and the intent. Meaning there are concerns. I'm not going to paint the government in a bad light, but let me give you one story. There was one. It's called Ketiware, a big dam. It was broken, and I went to the collector. And individually, all of them are wonderful people, with me at least. They may be doing whatever I was an India against corruption guy, so nobody could screw around with me. So I went to the collector. I said, why don't we repair this dam? He said, wonderful. So then the committee sat, 16 of them, and they decided that they will repair this dam, give it to the Jilla Parishad. Jilla Parishad was in 160 kilometers away. So they had a committee where they thought that that document was not proper, sent it back. Again, they had a meeting. Then it went to Jilla Parishad. Jilla Parishad approved, went to the minister. When he was speaking at that time, Chief Minister called him. He went away after 4 months. That meeting was there. There 22 people had to sign. Then it went to Aurangabad. Then it went to Ambe Jogai. So to make a long story short, That file was in Mumbai, Aurangabad, Bid, Ambajoga and Parli across 5 cities and 179 signatures.
Wow.
Tell me, can an ordinary Indian ever afford to do that? Because I was there with a team and I am a little crack. I pushed and made it happen. That bridge is standing there. But with this government systems, processes, I don't mean individual are there. How does one work? No, I mean, it's just, so we decided with the farmers, forget government, let's do it ourselves. So we did ourselves very successfully. Government still has a lot of money, a lot of things, but I am not very inclined to go there and get it. I went to Madhya Pradesh and told there I am doing fruit plantation. So they said, sir, hamare khet mein mat aana. Well, what happened? Well, 3 years back, the government gave us these free plants. So none of them has become big. None of them is giving fruits. And we just don't want to talk about fruit plantation. At night, one whistleblower calls up and says, Mayank bhai, wo nimbu ka ped diya na, wo nimbu ka ped hi nahi hai.
Oh my God.
Now, what can I say? What can I do? I said, छोड़ो सरकार को यार, थोड़ा रुपया निकालो, काम साथ में करते हैं. वो सरकार के पैसे, ये आदत पड़ गई है. लोन वेवर, सरकार से पैसे, कोई जरूरत नहीं है. चलो आप और मैं मिलके करते हैं. And we've been so successful by doing that. But मैं सरकार के पीछे पड़ा होता तो अभी तक मैं फाइल देखता होता.
That answers the question.
But it is my perspective. It is my experience. Somebody might have a good experience. So I'm not going to paint the whole thing in a certain color.
Correct. So I think we have one more question from Ranalini. These are all live questions that are coming in. And of course, there are tons of accolades, which I'm going to read out at the end of the session. But
yes,
I'm going to address questions right now. So India needs a strong opposition, Ranalini said. Who, in your opinion, can form opposition that the country needs? Prashant Kishore seems to be trying something along with the Congress. Is Congress a liability for any such effort? That's a question from Ranalini.
I don't see Congress as a serious opposition party. It is very sad for this country that most oppositions are regional parties. They are small group of parties which are opposing the BJP in some way. Somewhere it is in power, somewhere not in power. I wish we had a national opposition party which was powerful, which could talk sense, which could get the government on its knees. I think that is what we needed. Unfortunately, I don't see it right now. And I hope something comes that. AAP was created for that. But we lost the way somewhere. I hope it recovers and becomes the main opposition. I don't know.
So, Mayank, question from me. How do you sustain a movement? I mean, we know what Gandhi did, and I know what you're doing. And you touched a lot of villages. I think the numbers are pretty staggering from 17. I think you said 300 to some.
Yeah, 10,000 plus.
10,000 you said. Yeah, I remember that.
See, there are two things.
Yeah.
One is sustaining our organization. We get CSR funds which take care of our expenses. Okay, I am working as a consultant somewhere, so I sustain myself because I refuse to take money from my trust. But this movement needs small victories and big victories. So there is a kind of a science to running movements. Running movement is not कि हम लोग आज सब इकट्ठे हो गए और सब हो भारत माता की जय बोला तो चलेगा. There is got to be a way to handle. Sometimes the movement will slow down. It will go through ebbs. It will go through highs. And I remember 1919 Gandhi came from South Africa. And 1949 we got independence. 1947. So it took us so many years, 30 years, that how many times we had ebbs and crashed and ebbs, and so many times so people said that this movement khatam ho gaya. And again it started. So running a movement needs patience, needs man management, needs some techniques and problems. So we were able to do that quite well in that short period that we have. Again, I'm not pushing for my book or selling my book. I don't need to. But in that book, I have written a few chapters on how movements can be run. This is not the time to say it, but movements has its own science, its own art, and need to run it well.
and you think we can sustain? By the way, those are questions which a lot of people are asking. Sorry, go ahead.
No, look, I just wanted to, because I think he mentioned his book twice, but he didn't mention the name of the book per se, because I think a lot of people would be keen to know what the name of the book is so they can find it on Amazon.
No, just send me your address. I will courier it to you without any charge. So, but if you want to buy it through Amazon or something, the book is called Up and Down. So,
okay. So
it's up and down, not up and down.
Yes. Sorry, Alok, you were asking a question. Sorry.
I was saying, and people have sent in a lot of questions as to how they can participate in what you're doing. Humne to bol diya, we have given ourselves to you, both of us. But how can other people participate?
I think everyone has a different skill sets, different levels of intent, different levels of passion. If I would request, I will give you my email address. I'll be very happy if you can just write to me and we'll talk to each other before we find out what exactly can you do. There's not a brush that I can paint. Hey, can I take one question that Surjit Kumar has asked?
Yeah. Absolutely.
He says, have any relation between real life in village and level of satisfaction level in life?
I was coming to that.
Yeah, I don't understand that question. But having said that, I'll just give my perspective. My perspective is a little different from others. You know, social workers, they love to say how much satisfaction, happiness, contentment that they have, and that they gave something to somebody and he smiled, that child, and they could not sleep the whole night. So I sometimes feel that the day I feel like that will be the worst day of my life. Meaning, so you are actually helping others so that you get satisfaction, you get happiness, you get contentment. Is there anything more selfish than this? So I was just thinking, why do I do what I do? Sorry, I'm getting a little philosophical.
Please go ahead. It's a very important question, and I think it's something which each one of us have to ask.
Yeah. So I said, why do I do what I do? I don't want more money. I don't want votes. I don't want name. So why do I do this? So I started reading Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita and all Indian ethics. I did not find an answer. Then I started reading Western ethics. And I went back on the 16th century. A Prussian philosopher called Immanuel Kant said that you should do something because it's the right thing to do. And that hit me that yes, I can do it. I can help these people. They need it. So why not do it rather than go so much into maine kuch kiya, I am doing it. You know, something very funny. Alok and Sangram, you must listen to this. When I was in Aam Aadmi Party or India Against Corruption, people used to pull my leg by saying, let's go in the rural India, rural Maharashtra, let's go and have a meeting. And I used to feel very uncomfortable. A, I did not understand the issues of rural India. And B, I did not know the language. So after I quit politics, if I had to write a script about how I want to lead life, going into a village in the heart of Maharashtra and working there would be the last script that I would be writing. I would write 10,000 scripts, but this I would never write. So somebody else up there is writing the script. I am just going with the flow. So nowhere do I feel that I am doing it or I am the one who has to, because this is the last thing I would do in my life. So somebody up there is planning and making me do things. I am just being happy going with the flow.
As they say, the universe conspires. I think you send an intent out there and the universe conspires and makes things happen.
And I disagree that I did not send any intent, Baba. I did not want to work in the villages. Somebody else has put me into this job here. मैं नौकरी कर रहा हूँ. वो कुत्ता है ना, वो बैलगाड़ी के नीचे चलता है, वो सोचता है वो चला रहा है बैलगाड़ी. तो मुझे लग रहा है कि मैं भी ये सोचने लगा हूँ, I am doing it. It's not true. Somebody else up there is doing it. I don't know how many of you believe in this philosophy, but I do.
Manpreet, who's on the call, Manpreet Kaur, she's the CEO of a company. She writes, the youngest attendee, my 10-year-old son says, this man is a genius. And he looks like Gandhi. So we are all touched by what you've done.
Manpreet, give him a chocolate.
No, I think I would like to eat out because I think we're coming to the...
Your 10-year-old is a genius. Give him a chocolate.
And a hug,
Just kidding.
and a hug from our side, please.
Yeah, yeah.
I think, Alok, I would like to take this opportunity to, because I think it's an unusual session where more than questions, I think I just heard phenomenal words of, awe and appreciation.
Absolutely right.
I'm just going to read out all of them. I think you have someone who's worked with you. I think you've already noticed him, Ayub Khan.
Yeah, Ayub.
And I think Ayub wants to connect with you just to reminisce old days, And we have Dr. Maheshwar who said earlier that it was brilliant to hear you speak. Babita loved the ideas that you expressed. I think she said that specifically to that idea of goats for hooch. I think that was the time when the comment came in. Sharat said amazing. Surjit said nice. Devesh said very, very inspiring story. Aman said he's definitely visiting Parli because just to see and experience the spark in the
You're
eye.
most welcome. You're most welcome.
Yeah. And then, of course, Manpreet, Alok has already said what Manpreet said about what her son said for you. Aman again said that I can go on listening to you for hours together because he's never been so inspired in such a long time. Sanjoli Banerjee says, I found a new inspiration today. Thanks for doing what you do. And I hope I can join you in your moment. Thanks for arousing hope and the energy back in me today. I think on that point, Mayank and Shweta, if you can, in the chat window, put an address where people can reach Mayank. And please refer to the chat window for the address. And I think whoever wants to participate can write to him. And he's already said that he'd be happy to speak to each of you personally and discuss ways in which you can join this lovely movement.
I wish we could run this.
Very, very inspiring. And I think everyone like that.
Sorry, you were fading out, Sangram. I was saying I wish we can run this for an hour more. There's so much to learn from him. There's so much to hear from him.
Yes. I think Mayank, if you could just give us your email ID, a lot of people would love to write to you.
I have done that. I have done that in the chat.
Yeah,
I'll also give my number.
Yes. I just noticed you. Correct.
So if somebody would like to WhatsApp me, I'll be happy to talk.
Lovely.
I'm very easily accessible. यार कोई काम बम नहीं करता हूँ मैं. यही करता हूँ. Anytime you can contact me. No big deal. Yeah.
मैं जो करते हैं काम वो यही बोलते हैं कि मैं नहीं करता हूँ क्योंकि उनके पास 24 घंटे नहीं 48 होते हैं. Any last thought?
ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है.
मुझे आपको देख के ये समझ आ गया. You have no regrets. Everything has been an experiment. Everything has been a learning. Everything has been something which has taken you higher and higher in your personal search.
Again, this higher and higher is a judgment. There's no judgment. I'm just flowing through life and doing whatever. I really enjoy doing whatever I'm doing. I laugh all the time. I smile all the time, and I'm doing things with people whom I love. My country I love, and especially the villagers. Such wonderful people this country has. हम लोग सब अंग्रेजों ने सत्यानाश कर दिया है देश का. Really, Alok, come with me one day. देखो कैसे लोग हैं यार.
मैं आऊंगा.
हम लोग सब वो ये सब वेस्टर्न करते हुए हम लोग ने देश को समझा ही नहीं है. We are a different race, different country. बहुत अच्छे लोग हैं.
I think Alok has already planned a date. I'm going to hitch a ride with Alok, and I think Alok, both of us will go to Parli. Anyways, I think I have committed to Mayank that.
Yeah. Don't just come to Parli, see and say wah. Come stay for some days, yaar. Yes. We'll stay with the villagers. उसका घर का खाना खाएंगे, उसकी family को समझेंगे. We have to understand people. Here we'll go as a tourist, look at them, very good, and come back. Don't be a tourist. Be a participant.
Absolutely.
That's going to be the real thing. Absolutely. And any one of your friends who want to come, you're most welcome.
Yeah, we will invite them. And yeah, absolutely, yes.
Most certainly.
Yeah. I think we've run out of time. And thank you for such an awe-inspiring conversation.
Thank you, all of you. I enjoyed being with you guys. Anytime you need to talk to me, to let me know, you join me, whatever. My numbers are there. Let's go on. Just take this country forward. Anything you can do, add value to the farmers and the poor people of this country. Let's do it, yeah. मेरे आइडिया से करो, तुम्हारे आइडिया से करो, कुछ करते हैं यार. बहुत बोलते हैं हम लोग यार. That argumentative Indian, how much we talk and how less we do यार.
Especially on social media, no? We have a
अरे
lot.
सब जगह पे. When I was in India against corruption, people used to call me every 1 minute. Anna Hazare should do this, Kejriwal should do this, you should do this. I said, what will you do यार? All day ये सब ज्ञान बांटते रहते हैं. और अभी व्हाट्सएप आ गया तो व्हाट्सएप यूनिवर्सिटी तो इतना बड़ा हो गया है, बाय गॉड. सब कुछ सिखाते हैं अपने को पूरा दिन रात. सो मुझे लग रहा है कि थोड़ा व्हाट्सएप को छुट्टी देके रियल काम करते हैं.
Lovely, lovely. I think I'm indeed very happy. I don't know how Alok hasn't told me the story of how you all got to know each other, but I'm so happy that you're there on Guts Glory Story. You can see by the enormity of the response that we've got that it has indeed been a very, very, very inspiring 1 hour. So yeah, I think with that, we'll call it a day.
At this time?
Call it a night. Yes, I think next session again we have someone very interesting. We have Divyanshu Ganatra, who's a visually impaired person, and Divyanshu has been one of the first to do a solo paragliding trip in India. He's been one of the first 3 visually impaired people to climb Kilimanjaro, and he lost his sight in early youth. And he's now running a foundation, engaging into adventure, and it's going to be one more story of inspiration next Friday at the same time. One special mention that I would like to do, Mayank, inspired from both Sam and you, is a change in direction that I actually discussed with Alok as to how we are seeing Guts Glory Story also change in direction. We've had several speakers, and I think what touched a chord with Sam and with you is how both of you are doing something on a nation building scale. And I think that's the change in direction that we would like to do. We'd like to involve and invite more guests who are involved in nation building. And how can we who are staying outside the government contribute through inspiration and through whatever little measures. And I wouldn't use the word little measures any longer after hearing about the whole big canvas theory. So no little measures any longer.
Big measures.
Big measures. So yes, how can we contribute by hearing from more people like you? I think that's a direction change that Alok and me would love to do in terms of our contribution, in terms of making this movement larger. So with that, I think it's a final goodbye. Any last words from you, Alok? And then we can call it a day.
No, it has been a great evening, Mayankji. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to our viewers. We will post this onto our website, so it's available. Great weekend. Thank you again, everyone. Mayankji, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Bye-bye.